Hi guys, Victoria Husit here with VK Consulting, and today let's continue our conversation about nonprofit organization and specifically nonprofit organization in California. And we already talked about how to form one with IRS, what do you need to do with the Secretary of State. Now let's talk about part number 3, and it's a California Department of Justice. DOJ, because if you have a nonprofit in California, you need to register it with California DOJ. So let me take you to a website and show what it is and what you need to do. But before, please don't forget to subscribe. To get to California Department of Justice website, you can just go to Google and Google it, and it's gonna take you right directly to a website. But if you do need a link, it's oag.ca.gov, and it brings you to this website. There is a lot of useful information here, but we are looking for nonprofit organizations. So you can look at home about media careers, regulations, resources, programs, the appointments and contacts. But what you hit with programs, it will give you either all the program or most popular. But because we're looking for charities, we know that we need to go directly to charities. So let's click on charities. Right here, there is a lot of useful information. And it talks about what forms you need to fill out, which is forms due every year. Website provides you a PDF forms, the ones that you can fill out. You can also do registry verification search. If you know you have nonprofits that you want to know if they register, if they up to date, you can click on registry verification search. And right here, you do need to know state charity registration number, FTB corporate number, tax ID number, organization name. If you don't know, you can try to do search by the organization name. You can try to do it by city, but again, the more information you know, the better your search results will be. Also, website provide the link to file a complaint. If you want a complaint about some nonprofit organization and the way they use their funds, you can do it here. Unfortunately, you cannot call them. They do not take any phone calls. They do want to talk to you via email, which this option is available. There is a phone number if you call. There is a recorded voicemail where, again, they give you an instructions and they do tell you that they do not accept any phone calls. If you have a brand new charitable organization, you would come here to the side and click initial registration. If you do have a charitable nonprofit organization in California, you have to fill out and register here with the Attorney General. You have to. This is not, you might not. If you decide to do it or not, you have to do it. So right here, if you have an initial registration, you come here and it says updated form CT1 is available for download, and it takes 30 to 90 days to process. So if you click here, it's gonna open up a PDF form, pretty simple forms. It has the name of your organization, address. There is a $50 registration fee. You put all your trustees, all your directors, you put in the purpose of this organization, you write in if you have any assets, if you have a tax exempt status, if you received it with IRS, answer some questions, sign and mail. You cannot file these forms. You have to physically fill it up and mail. Good thing about this form, you see, you can type inside this form, so you don't need fill it up by hand. And then there is an annual registration renewal. After your initial registration, you have to come here every year and fill out annual registration renewal. So let's look at those forms. When you do an annual registration renewal, you will come to this page by clicking annual registration renewal. And here you will need to fill out 2 forms. One form is RRF1. Let's look at this form. Again, it has your organization names, any DBA, any address. Since you already register, you would have a charity registration number. You would put your corporation organization number here and your tax ID. And right here, you see the fees you need to pay. So depending on your revenues, there is a fee. So if you're making under $50,000, you file $25. And then based on the scale, if you're making more than $500,000 a year in revenues, your fee is $1,200. You sign the form. Again, you cannot file it. You do have to mail this form with the fee. But let's come back to the annual registration renewal page. As I said, Form RRF1 always required. Regardless, either you file Form 990, 990 Easy, or a postcard form, your Form RRF1 always required. Form CT, TR1 depends. So let's look, when do you need to file Form CT, TR1? If you file a regular tax return for your nonprofit with the Form 990 or 990 Easy, you do not have to file second form, CT-TR1. This form is only for companies that have gross receipts under $50,000 and doing a postcard mailing. So let's look at this form. What it includes. Again, it's your organization name, your charity registration number, corporation number, and federal tax ID. And of course, your tax period. And right here, it's basically your balance sheet and revenue statement. Because you're not filing tax return with the IRS, you're just telling IRS, hey, I have less than $50,000. Here is my postcard mailing. Here, you're actually writing how much money you received, what was the salaries, if any, do you have any accounts payable, where your revenue came from, was it contributions, was it investments, was it special events, and again, what you spend your money on. And again, this is it. And then you sign, print it, and mail it. And of course, as every form, it has instructions as well. So if you do have questions, you can print out everything and read through the instructions, but it's pretty simple form. Now, if you mailing RRF1 and CT-TR1, you have to mail them together with a check for the fees. If you're not filling out Form CT-TR1 because you actually have a full tax return, by the way, you can have a full tax return even if you're making less than $50,000. That up to you. Is just IRS gives you an option, either file a tax return or do a postcard mailing. But if you're making more than $50,000, you absolutely have to file a tax return. So if you do have a tax return, then you would include your tax return and include Form RRF1 with the check for the fees, and you will mail everything to Sacramento. And again, as it says, please allow 30 to 90 days to process filing. And that's pretty much it. If you have not done it, let's just say your nonprofit been around for years, you guys current with IRS, you guys current with Secretary of State, Franchise Tax Board, but you never knew about Attorney General and Department of Justice, that's not unusual. You again come here, do your search, see what it says, and if you are delinquent or if your charity is revoked, don't panic just yet. Just come here again to the side, and it says delinquency. And once you click on delinquency, then you want to come here to the webinar at the bottom and watch this video. This video will tell you exactly what to do. And then you contact the delinquency program. Again, as I said, they want just emails, they don't want phone calls. This is how you communicate with them. But I would suggest just send your form that is due now this year. And once you send this form, you update the addresses, address has changed, they will send correspondence to you, and they're gonna tell you how many years you need to file, what is the fees, and basically what you need to do. If you wanna close your company, you have nonprofit and you wanna close, again, it has a dissolution link. Come here to the dissolution and go through the dissolution webinar. You can see what you need to do. Through the dissolution process, you can read about it. Usually the dissolution process requires you to close the company with the Secretary of State, close everything with franchise tax boards, with IRS. Pretty simple. If you're on top of your things, on top of your filings, and do everything on time, and don't miss out anything, you're gonna be compliant and everything's gonna be all right. But even if you're not, don't panic just yet. You can always come here again, read through paperwork, fill out current year, and fill out how many years been past due, and work on restoring your nonprofit. Also, as a nonprofit, there is an interesting part here. It's called Nonprofit Raffles Home. And this page basically talks about any raffles you run as a nonprofit organization. As a nonprofit organization, you might have auctions, you might have picnics where you do raffles. There is a way of how to do raffles, and there is a raffle registration fee. It's $30. There is a form you need to fill out. And remember that this form you need to send in before you do a raffle. Basically, Department of Justice gives you a license, let's call it a license, or a permission to run a raffle. And then you can hold the raffle. Otherwise, you again not compliant. So again, come here to California Department of Justice website, go to charities, read through it, look at the forms, and if you're not compliant, bring yourself to right level of compliance. I hope this was useful, and don't forget to subscribe.